Merry Christmas.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Wheel of Horror Christmas Edition, the podcast where two best friends spin a wheel for the 12 days leading up to Christmas. It chooses the movie, and they discuss it. Today we're talking about the 1988 film Ernest Saves Christmas, which was directed by John Cherry III. This is the first time we've ever had to do this before, so this is our second time recording this podcast. We had a big problem, I guess, yesterday with the audio. We lost all of Mike's audio, so we are now re-recording it. So just want to make everyone aware of that. This is probably the first time, hopefully the last time we'll ever have to do this, but we did record a podcast for this movie yesterday. This is our second attempt at the same movie. So I'm your co-host, Alec.
I'm Eric, and with us is a very Christmassy guest, Michael Valente. Mike, thanks for joining us again.
Yeah, thanks for having me back for the second day in a row.
Feels like Groundhog's Day. It's like we're just doing the same exact thing again.
Oh my God. If this was the plot to Groundhog's Day, it's like, you have to watch Ernest Saves Christmas every day. Do a podcast
Like, no,
about it.
we have to have it fresh in our mind. We have to rewatch it.
That would be my.
I'd quit if I have to rewatch this again in like 2 days and do this podcast again. I would absolutely quit.
Oh
That would be
God.
my worst nightmare.
I'd be like, Alec, I think we're done. I think this is like the stars aligning and telling us to stop doing this podcast.
Ernest ruins the Wheel of Horror podcast. That's his next movie. Yeah, it's a lot to have to try and recapture the magic of the last time.
Yeah, we don't have to fudge it. We can kind of just like say like, "Hey, remember this question you asked me yesterday?"
Yeah. Well, I guess I do remember, Mike. What were your thoughts of this movie?
I did not really enjoy, I don't know. I probably didn't enjoy 98% of the movie, or maybe 95%. I think 95% of it I hated.
So you like five? What was the 5% that you liked?
Yeah.
I I actually did like when he dressed up as that woman, pretended to be that producer's mom. I thought that scene was actually pretty funny.
Okay, that was a good minute long. That adds up. That's a minute long scene. That makes
Yeah,
sense. That's 5%, I'd say.
I liked that the Santa Claus was actually the guy who did the voiceover for Aladdin, for the Sultan in Aladdin, not
Right.
Aladdin.
The guy that
himself.
plays Santa in this.
Yeah.
He's also the voiceover actor from The Sultan.
Yep. And what else?
Not much.
Yeah,
Not
no,
much.
maybe it's 98%. I hate it.
Oh, Jesus. All
I'm
right.
just kidding.
All right. Well, it was good though just knowing this because there's a spectrum here. So Mike hates it, like just unabashedly hates it. Eric, you love this. Why?
Yeah. Like this movie holds a special place in my heart. I love the Ernest movies. They're so stupid funny. I just like the idea that this is a grown ass man with like the mind of like a little kid. And like he gets all sad like at the end of the movie where like Santa Claus is like, all right, time to deliver all the presents. And then Ernest is all like, no. And Ernest, do you want to come ride the sleigh? And he's like 40. He's 45. Like he doesn't need to ride Santa's sleigh. He's like, oh boy, would I ever. Can't wait. Jim Varney. Love Jim Varney too. He's the voice of Slinky Dog in Toy Story.
Second biggest smoker of all time.
Yeah, we talked about like John Wayne, definitely the notorious biggest smoker.
Oh,
Ernest. Yeah.
wait. Now it's all coming together. This is something we didn't piece together yesterday because he says all those John Wayne quotes. Is that a nod to like his?
Oh
smoking?
yeah, I think so. He's like one of two of the biggest chain smokers in cinema history, dude. Like
Right, but it's funny that Ernest is like saying all these John Wayne.
now,
quotes.
little lady. Like yeah. Nah, it's a good point. Like, but they smokers, not other smokers, I guess.
And also, John Wayne made it to like 80 and had cancer twice. And,
John Wayne had a lung removed and
Oh my
lived another like 4 years.
Oh my God!
There's
Wow.
that famous Richard Pryor sketch. Richard Pryor does like, "Get the fuck out of here, death." Like,
Yeah, about John Wayne like literally beating.
yeah, he had a
cancer.
heart attack. He had his lung removed. He kept smoking up until like the last day. It's how do you smoke with one lung? He just kept it going.
He didn't care.
He didn't
Yeah.
give a shit.
So Mike hated this movie. Eric loves it. This is my first time seeing it. I actually did like it. I really did. I thought it was fucking stupid, but also like But it had a good plot, man. It really did. I think the idea of Santa Claus having to pass it on and picking the right person.
I just kind of have I have one question. Why did he fly on an airplane when he had all the reindeer? He put the reindeer on in the belly of the airplane and then shipped them and the sleigh.
I know the answer.
Yep.
I know the answer. It's because he has to pass on the power because the power's fading, Mike. Because
Yeah.
if the power was what it was, he says that. He says that the reason that he has to pass the torch is because he's losing power as the years go on. So he had to find somebody,
Yeah.
so he couldn't fly the sleigh.
He
Wait,
could have
why
made it.
couldn't Ernest didn't have any powers and he flew the sleigh for like an hour and
Well, I mean,
I don't know that, Eric.
so okay. To go with the reindeer, I feel like the reindeer were shipped, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't have the power until it was Christmas Eve, because they shipped them and then they immediately went to the ceiling.
Okay. You're filling in a lot for the writing, but that actually makes sense.
Well, come on. When did reindeer fly? The
I
Christmas
agree.
Eve,
You
and
know
the
what?
rest of the time
Actually,
they're on the ground.
yeah. The big guy at the airport, he did say, he's like, it looks like they're gearing up for something big.
There you go.
You
They're
give him that one,
warming
Mike?
up.
You give him that one?
Yeah, give it to him.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
give it to him.
All right. That's fair. That's
You
fair.
know, this is his childhood movie right here. I
You're
don't
like
want
a
to
little
bash it too much.
You're like a little 4-year-old, like, but why? I say, I don't know, but why? It's like, all right, because maybe he he wants his milk and cookies. I don't know.
To make something up. No,
Like,
but that's
why do reindeer fly? It's like, I don't know, like because they they want to just
Yeah,
believe, just
yeah.
believe.
I'm like the kid from the Santa Claus asking all those questions.
Seeing isn't believing. Believing is seeing.
I love that.
this definitely influenced Santa Claus for sure.
Yeah.
And we talked about Elf too. I think this really inspired Elf, the whole leaving the North Pole and having to like make it in the city or whatever. And I don't know. I'm just saying this was not the
Ernest,
Mike and I came into this both never even seen this, and my expectations were in the fucking gutter. I don't know. I thought this was gonna be like the worst thing.
Because this is the movie you get in a $5 bin at Walmart. My friends from college got me for my birthday, like the Ernest collection. I was so pumped. I was like, oh my God, you know how much I love Ernest. So it was like 3 or 4 movies. So
all in one DVD.
It was Ernest Goes to Camp, Ernest Scared Stupid, Ernest Saves Christmas, and what was the other one? I think it might have been that might have been it.
Okay, but Ernest Goes to Africa. You said you've never seen that one, right?
I never saw that one, no.
I have to know what that's about.
That one's got to be bad, dude. That one's one of the like straight to no theatrical release, because this Ernest Saves Christmas did pretty well, right? It did, yeah.
$6 million budget, made 24 million. So like
they're gonna keep making these damn things. They're gonna eat, for that kind of profit.
It's not really that big. I mean,
Ernest, keep going, man. Keep going. Go to camp.
Well, they had pretty low standards in the 80s, so.
I guess so. Jesus Christ. But I mean, seriously, you could never. I mean, Medea, I feel like Medea only works because it's like, wait, that's a ma'am in there? Like, it's because the Medea concept's the same as this. It's literally just, let's just take this stupid, goofy character and put him in all these different situations.
Medea's Halloween, Medea's Christmas.
Yeah.
The Diary of a Mad Black Woman.
Medea goes to jail. Yeah.
Medea goes to jail too?
Yeah.
Oh man, if Jim Varney was alive.
Dude, seriously, these movies think about that. These all came out after Jim Varney died. It's basically just taking the idea of Mrs. Doubtfire and mushing it into the Ernest movies. Like, hey, I'm just saying, Tyler Perry, you made billions of dollars off of kind of just taking Ernest's idea.
They could do it. Oh man, if he was still alive, they could do Ernest Saves Medea. Or like Ernest Goes to Medea's family dinner.
This is not, I'm serious right now. If Jim Varney was still alive, they could do a Medea, Ernest, Mrs. Doubtfire, Big Mama's House cinematic universe.
If only. I didn't tell you this yesterday, guys, but when I found out he died, and thinking like we were in 5th grade or something. I remember like waking up in the morning and it was on like Good Morning America, and like it was like that black and white like obit picture. Jim Varney died today, age I think it was like 50 something. I was like, oh man, like it ruined my day. And like I went to school and like my teacher was like, what's wrong? I'm like, Ernest died. And she's like, what? The guy who plays Ernest died.
Ernest.
I was really sad.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
So when Steve Irwin died, I literally like went to bed. I was like,
that was horrible.
Yeah, Mike, I called you and I was like, Steve Irwin died, dude.
We bought the memorial VHS, and we
Or-
sat in your basement and watched it together.
Yeah, we were sad. I went to bed that night and I was like, I hope I just wake up and he's still alive.
That was
Jesus
horrible.
Christ.
Yeah,
What-
those are two big celebrity deaths that really hit me, Ernest and Steve Irwin.
Poor Bindi.
Was this the first Ernest movie you ever saw, though, Eric, or was Ernest Scared Stupid the first
Ernest Scared Stupid was the first one I saw
And
when
you're
I was like 4.
I'm
or
hooked.
Yeah, I was the youngest
Well-
I've ever been when I saw this movie.
Like I'm sure, like if I saw it when I was a kid, I would have like some, I don't know, sentimental. It would hold some sort of. I'm sure, like it'd be like a memento of the past. And I
How
wouldn't
did-
hate it so
It's like
much.
being an adult and watching Paw Patrol. Like it doesn't really,
Yeah,
doesn't really
but
click the same way.
still, how did Mike and I miss this? Like, we're the same age as you. How did we not see these movies?
I don't know, dude. I feel like I judge a person by how awesome their childhood was, by how many Ernest movies they have seen or own.
Yeah, and
Wow.
I'm sure I watched equally bad movies when I was a kid. It's not like
Right.
It's not like I was picking anything better.
No, I know, but I mean, there's a limited selection back then. It was all VHS. It wasn't like you could scroll through streaming. So I feel like of 3 people, only one of us has seen these movies before the age of 30. That's saying something.
Before the age of 30.
I'm surprised I haven't seen it in Eric's basement.
Yeah, I'm surprised I never showed this to you guys. I guess I kept it to myself.
No,
know?
you wanted to make time for like Killer Clowns. For me.
Yeah, and like really other bad D movies.
This, I mean, you were on our last episode for Killer Clowns, Mike, and I like this better than Killer Clowns. I
See,
do.
Really? You
think-
do? Wow.
I think the
Means a lot.
opposite.
I think the opposite.
You really hated this movie, Mike?
I really didn't like it. I really.
Well, to me, these kinds of movies are like you're sick at home, like nothing's on.
I won't say I didn't laugh at a few parts. Like the opening taxi ride was pretty funny. Well, I mean, the dude just flew out of his taxi on the highway.
He killed that guy.
I think he made him
He
like
was-
catatonic.
He was stiff as a board, and then Ernest just picks him back up and throws him in. He's like, "I told you about that seatbelt."
Come on, buddy, you're gonna miss your flight. We gotta get you. Every movie starts off with him at a job where he's the worst at his job. Like he's the worst cab driver.
Well,
Truck
don't
guy.
these companies do background checks? Like, oh, you know what? This guy, he sucked at driving dump truck.
He gets
He was-
fired in every movie too. He gets fired in every movie. In Ernest Scared Stupid, he owns the dump truck and he gets those kids stuck in there. But also, he's supposed to do one job, which is like go clean up the old witch lady's yard. And he goes over this. Well, she's really scary. I don't want to go over. And he doesn't do it. And he gets fired.
The intro song is hilarious though, with him just singing the one song on repeat is like Christmas tree, oh Christmas. We talked about this yesterday, but that's genuinely
Christmas
funny.
tree, oh Christmas tree,
I mean, here's the
oh
thing.
Christmas tree, oh Christmas tree.
Within the first 5 minutes of the movie, Ernest kills somebody. We get a solid joke. We learn about how big of a degenerate he is, and we meet Santa Claus.
Yeah, it's a lot all at once. But I just love how he also talks to himself too. And we talked about this yesterday, where he's just like, I am one made for the road. I am one with the asphalt. I am he just talks to himself like, I am the greatest driver of the cab.
Yeah, he breaks the fourth wall all the time. He talks to himself. I'm into it. I'm
Yeah.
into it.
It's
Wait.
ridiculous, dude.
I mean,
It's ridiculous.
there's no consistency in this movie in the way they filmed it at all. There's Vern, who is just a behind the scenes character. You're just looking at the camera, and that's Vern.
Okay, Mike, they're making a diverse choice in camera angles, and I think they should be praised for that, not criticized. As a
Okay.
POV shot, they have the courage and the strength to take risks, Mike.
You want to read our fake Ernest movies? So for those listening, this is something I usually do when I'm like super bored, like have a long flight delay or on a bus ride. I make fake Ernest movies. I get really bored. I read a bunch of them online 10, 20 years ago, and I like started doing it as like a boring hobby. Alec, I asked you to make a couple up. Do you want me to go first and just list off a couple fake Ernest movies?
I do. I have 9 that I'd like to read to you. And
Yeah,
Mike?
I'll shorten my list to just a couple.
Okay, and mine are short too, except for a couple, but
Ernest drives a Subaru. Ernest sells vape pens to teenagers. Ernest steals a PS5 from Best Buy. Ernest adopts a dog and then brings it back after a week of subpar Instagram photos. Ernest finds Malaysian airline flight 370. Ernest buys a Peloton. Ernest returns a Peloton. Ernest goes to a Beyonce concert and gets kicked out. Ernest plays way too much Call of Duty. Ernest starts a wildly mediocre podcast about horror movies. Ernest washes his hands. Ernest doesn't wash his hands. Last couple. Ernest answers BuzzFeed quizzes all day. Messed that one up. Ernest answers BuzzFeed questions all day.
Try one more time. One more time.
Ernest answers BuzzFeed quizzes. Goddamn.
Oh my god!
Ernest answers BuzzFeed quizzes all day. Ernest kills Jeffrey Epstein. Ernest on Etsy. All right, that's all the Ernest movies.
See,
for a lifetime. That's
same
enough.
as yesterday. I wish you would combine some, like Ernest goes to a Beyonce concert, sells kids a bunch of vape pens, gets kicked out, and then kills Jeffrey Epstein. Like that's what I want to hear. I want to hear the combo.
Ernest eats too much Red Hot.
Didn't you say just before we started reading them off that you're only gonna do just a couple?
I know. I just love them, dude. I can read 100. I've made like 1,000. If anyone wants more, you
changed your name on this podcast feed. What is that?
Oh yeah, we change them every time.
Yeah, every time.
I know. I'm surprised you didn't read that one.
Oh.
No, I'm not gonna read that one.
All right, I got a couple here. Here for
Alec, you go, please.
All right. So these are my 9 Ernest film titles. Ernest and the Olsen Twins, Up in Smoke. Ernest versus Predator, Requiem. Ernest is alive and well and has actually been tied up as a prisoner in Cardi B's basement, being forced to write her song lyrics. That's right, Ernest wrote WAP. Ernest dresses in blackface and punches Rick Moranis in New York City.
Oof.
All right.
New York's back, baby.
Here we go. All right. Ernest gets way into painting extremely detailed Victorian-style artwork of himself alongside a variety of dictators throughout history. However, each of the dictators' heads are replaced with a pug's head. Initially, the paintings were critically and commercially panned, but after Ernest's death, people began to appreciate the message Ernest was trying to make about political greed. It begins to attract a following, and Ernest's estate becomes worth millions. A shame that he has no living relatives. Okay. Ernest goes...
Sorry.
This is my first sequel idea. Ernest goes back to Africa, the Boko Haram blunder. All right. Fast and the Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw and Ernest. All right. Last one. Ernest goes to retrieve his son's baseball from a neighbor's yard. While reaching in for the ball, he scrapes his arm pretty badly on a rusty gate. His wife tells him he should go get it checked out because he's never had a booster shot. He brushes it off and goes and gets drunk alone in the garage. After several days, gangrene starts to set in, and Ernest's jaw starts to become tender, and it becomes hard to swallow. Ernest reluctantly goes to the doctor, even though he doesn't have an active health insurance policy. His wife doesn't understand why he's so reluctant to go to the hospital, and the reason is he's been lying to their family about their health insurance plan. He opted out back in December to save some extra money that he could use at the track. Ironically, a law passed the month earlier where the government had shut down all gambling in New Jersey, the state where Ernest currently lives. This means they all, including his small children, are actually uninsured. Ernest goes to the doctor and does in fact have tetanus. It's not as big a deal as Ernest initially thought. Still a couple $1,000s, but it was a big wake-up call for his family to get enrolled in a health insurance policy during the next enrollment period. Ernest let the dogs out.
It's a lot. I want to watch that half an hour movie. It's like, well, I thought we had health insurance. I don't know what happened. Come on.
I just called your boss, Ernest, and he said that you opted out during the last enrollment. That must be a mistake.
Opted out?
Yeah, what do you mean?
What do you mean opted out?
Mickey doesn't have health insurance and you have tetanus. It's just like, well, we'll figure it out.
I have lockjaw. I can't chew anymore.
You're gonna have to make me a goddamn smoothie or something. You can still drink, can't you? You've been in the garage pounding Jack Daniels all morning.
Oh, we should have knocked that fence down.
I told you to paint it. I told you.
Why are you so bad at baseball? That's so good.
He blames the
Good.
kid.
He blames
If
the
you
kid,
didn't
like,
throw the ball at the rusty gate.
if you just kept it fair, we wouldn't be here.
Uh.
Love it. So good. It's even better the second time after listening to all those yesterday.
Oh, I know. I wish I wasn't working all day. I would have taken more time to think of some new ones, but
Yeah, dude, try it whenever you're bored. Just make up some Ernest movies.
yeah, we could have fun.
Yeah, love it.
This Santa Claus in this movie, I actually like the version of Santa in this.
Yeah, they casted him well because he's like an older Santa that's kind of like fading, and this is like a more fragile Santa. We're used to Santa like going up on the chimney and stuff, and this guy looks like he's like, oh, I can't do that anymore.
This is like in Logan. He's kind of like the Charles Xavier of Christmases from Logan.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's a good one. I know we kind of touched on Jim Varney smoking cigs, and I mean, he really chain smoked, if you want to talk about that one. He died of lung cancer, the actor, in 2000.
Well, I think we talked about in the clause, you know, like how kids can only work for like 6 hours a day, like that's part of like union laws. Apparently, it's called the Ernest clause, and apparently he got something where they had to give him a 15-minute smoking break every 15 minutes.
Yeah, no, he probably pitched a cigarette every time a scene was shot. Where all right, when we roll in, all right, 30 seconds, okay, well, let me spark up.
Yeah, you know what, that
He
makes
takes
sense.
the drag.
You remember that scene towards the end? Harmony was like running all the way from the train station, and she did you hear her wheezing when she actually got there to deliver the Santa sack?
Because it's all Jim Varney cigarettes
Yeah,
stuck everywhere.
she got all that secondhand smoke.
Dude, wearing the same vest every day probably stunk like cigarettes.
Oh my God. Can you imagine, like literally, can you imagine how bad he must smell?
Yeah, like Friendlies back in the 90s. Like...
Yeah, like his clothes smell like the carpet from a Friendlies in the 90s. Hey, little girl. It's like, oh God, you fucking reek.
Smoking or non-smoking? What do you think?
Everywhere I go is considered smoking. Well, Harmony too. Let's talk about fucking Harmony. Pointless ass character, dude.
Oh, yeah.
No point to this movie, unfortunately. Yeah. I like her, but nothing. A little creepy. She's hanging out with a 40-year-old man. You know, she's like 20.
She's really got nothing better to do.
Apparently not. I mean, at the end when he was just like, how about we bring an honorary elf? And then it's like, oh, good, guys. I was about to go pick up some meth with my cousins. So, yeah, I guess I'll come do this. Like, what was she? She was like, great. I don't know what I was going to do. It's like,
She said she was going to go home, but that probably he probably went away again.
No, she was taking the Amtrak to Miami. That's the last place a 16-year-old girl should just end up by herself. Seriously, that's like the worst place for
Miami. Yeah.
Seriously, there's a lot of like sex trafficking that goes down there for like a 16-year-old girl by herself. Like, hey, I'm lost. Like, hey.
Half the disguises that Ernest had, I feel like any other state, those wouldn't have worked out for him. They would have called him out. The snake dealer. The snake dealer. He was like the mayor's assistant or something. When he went to break Santa out of prison, he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna take this guy with me." Oh, the mayor wants that Santa Claus.
I like when he plays the old lady. He's like, I've walked from the airport. I'm gonna die soon, and I need to go over my will. If I don't do it, I'm going to die, and nobody gets anything.
What does he say to the secretary right at the end? He's like, "Don't support him. It won't pay out," or something like that.
Like, I love Ernest.
That agent guy was such a douchebag too. Like, what a prick.
Was he in something else? He looked familiar.
I don't know.
What was he in? I looked him up. He was in something you would know, Mike.
I don't recognize him.
Shit, it's gonna bother me.
I gotta say, this movie too, for a kid's movie, it's got grit. The movie's got grit. It really does.
It's got a plot, it's got a full-on plot.
Oh, yeah, but it also, for a kid's movie, they're shooting a slasher film and they want their star, their Mr. Rogers kind of guy to swear. That would never be in a movie nowadays. We kind of talked about that too yesterday.
Fred Rogers would never swear.
No. So in this movie too, like they were trying to get that guy to swear, and I'm like, this movie's got grit. This movie's got grit.
I was hoping when they made that Tom Hanks movie with Mr. Rogers that, we'd see, the dark side of Mr. No, he doesn't have a dark side.
He has a tattoo, Eric.
The whole point of the movie is like, sometimes I get mad and I hit my piano hard. It's like that's the worst Mr. Rogers does. I don't know if you've seen it, but
he has like one Miller High Life and plays piano. It's just like, whoa, he's unhinged.
No, Oh, Mike's on something.
Yeah. So the guy that played the agent, he was in Die Hard.
Who's he in that?
Um,
That's not what you would know him from. You'd know him from, hold on, Ernest. Let me Google this.
Yeah, he was really good douchey. You've got the old lady from Home Alone's in this. I don't really know. I didn't really recognize too many other people. It's not like
The
a
Sultan
star
from
cast.
Aladdin. Mike's. That's why Mike likes this movie. He's like, yeah, they got the Sultan from Aladdin.
Oh, the other thing we mentioned yesterday too, their passports, the elves' passports say 1282 or whatever. That was cool. I like that. They're old ass elves. And Santa Claus is 151 years old and actually matches up with his birth date on the passport from Prussia. That was cute too.
Oh, he was in Godzilla. That's the other movie with Matthew Broderick.
Who was he in Godzilla?
I forgot what he
Oh.
was in Godzilla. He was one of the not major characters.
Yeah,
but
like an extra.
I feel like he was a slimy guy in that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he looks kind of like a slimy guy. I don't know.
So the other thing we do with these Christmas movies is we're gonna give them 1 out of 10 snowflakes. So Mike, I don't know, you already gave us your score yesterday, but have you had like a, I don't know, did it settle differently?
Yeah, does it feel better the second time talking about it?
No, I'll probably give it the same score. I think I gave it like 4.5.
Wow. Even though Eric and I we've made a case for this and still nothing.
Yeah, man, it was really hard for me to get through. I like at the end when he was like flying around that planet, I was like begging for him to just land that sleigh so the movie could end. I was done. I was checked out. I couldn't do it anymore. But I don't know. I do see like things that made like inspired some movies that I really enjoyed. So like maybe I should give it a higher score because like the Santa Claus is like my favorite Christmas movie, and it was like the replacing Santa theme clearly inspired by this. So I don't know. Maybe I'll give it 5.
Whoa!
There you go.
We got a score change.
We got a 5. We got a 5 from Mike. This is exciting. I was waiting for that.
All right, Eric, what about you?
I'd give it a nice 7.1.
Ooh.
Nice and warm.
All right. Yeah, I also think I gave it a 7, like a low 7 yesterday. I'm also gonna give it like a 7.2. I don't know. I think it was.
Well, you can't give it a higher score than me. I'm gonna give it a 7.3.
I'll give it a 7.2. Yeah, I don't know. I was pleasantly surprised. I will never actively watch this again unless an evil wheel forces me to. So hope that doesn't happen again. But yeah, I don't know. It's not the worst movie you'll ever see. It's not anything you probably would enjoy if you're not drunk or high or 2 a.m. But anyways.
Or like really sick and like delirious.
Yeah. If you have a high fever, you might like this movie. You don't really know what's going on. All right. Well, Mike, thank you so much for being our guest today, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Sure as hell hope this recorded this time, guys. I'll lose my mind.
Oh
I
my
will
God.
literally quit. I'll be like, no, we're done. We're done.
Well, the other thing I wanted to say too, we're gonna have Mike because these past few movies have been kind of joke movies. So Mike, you get to pick any movie you want, and we'll do a podcast with you about it.
Okay, I'm gonna hold you to that.
All right, I really hope
Deal.
he picks the worst movie ever. Like, intentionally, like I'm gonna make you guys watch Troll 2.
Inspector Gadget 2. It's like, oh
Fuck.
man.
Fuck.
Oh,
Hey, you said anything?
I think we should watch The Leprechaun Back to the Hood.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah.
I'm down, dude.
Yeah, I am
down.
too.
Nothing else going on right now.
All right. Well, why don't you spin the wheel, Eric?
All right.
Merry Christmas.
Spinning. The Grinch.
All right. Jim Carrey. Cool. Well, thanks again, Mike, and we will see you guys tomorrow for The Grinch.
See you guys.
Oh, please, God.